Video. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Heather Havenwood. And as you know, I interview influential people around the country, around the globe. Really, people have personal stories that I really I feel connected to. And so this next guest is someone that I feel connected to. I've never even met her, but I read her bio, and I just love the fact that what she's doing, which is she's a female, she's a powerhouse, she's a badass. Don't worry, you'll get to meet her. But honestly, she's someone that is out there helping everyone, including women, just being that woman entrepreneur she is and advisor she is actually being able to be somebody, to be a voice and be that person for women and helping in finances. And many of you know my personal story of going through a personal bankruptcy and going through foreclosure, all that lovely, horrible stuff. And yet at the same time, I was never taught at a very young age about my finances. So I just love the fact that when I see women in the financial field. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Rebecca Walser. Rebecca?
Hi, Heather. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So I love the fact that you're in New York City today. You're at the New York
Yes,
Stock Exchange.
I am. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's why it's all grainy, all good stuff. And I love the fact that you did that. And earlier in the green room, she busted out the hotel lamp. We're doing this. I'm so resourceful. That's such a woman.
Improvision. You know how you've got to do it. Yes, got to do it.
So let's kind of create the possibility of who you are. So understand, I'm gonna give people your bio, and I'm gonna kind of hand you the floor so you can kind of share your story. But you are very unique, challenging conventional financial wisdom while leveraging her background as an international financial consultant and tax attorney. She has built a national practice where she is acutely effective at tackling the two biggest threats to wealth, building our control in America. Her first book, Wealth Unbroken: Growing Wealth Uninterrupted by Market Crashes, Taxes, and Even Death, was released in 2018 and has hit #1 bestseller status, of course, on Amazon in multiple businesses and personal finance categories. And I'll just share now, she was also named by Investopedia as one of the top 100 influential advisors in America in 2018. And of course, she's a woman. So that's, to me, the best, right? So
the win.
The win, right?
Yeah.
So this is pretty interesting. So you have a background in financial consultant, tax attorney. Can you just kind of give us an overview of how did you get where you're at today?
Yeah, absolutely, Heather. Something you said resonated with me, that you weren't really taught about finance, and I wasn't either. Both of my parents sort of ironically came from quite a bit of money. And I have found, especially in my working career, working with wealthy families, they really ruin their children. They don't teach their children the value of a dollar. Their children grow up and either they have no sense of direction or purpose, and I'm really generalizing obviously here, or they just are a financial disaster. And my parents, I won't say that that's their case, but they didn't understand the value of dollar because it never was a part of their life growing up. And my father and mother had 4 children in 4 years on a naval enlisted officer pay salary. So it was a difficult financial childhood. My first memory of money, my first memory of anything is of money. And it was basically me turning on the light in the bathroom and the light not coming on. And literally finding my mom and saying, "Mom, the lights aren't working. The light's broken in the bathroom." And, they had to sit me down and explain to me what bills were and money was, and that they didn't have the money to pay the light bill. And I think that happening for me at such a young, impressionable age seared into me, wow, I got to figure this thing out called money and bills and make sure that I do it the right way. And I have been obsessed. I mean, I have not wasted, I have 3 different college degrees, and I have not taken one credit hour that I did not use towards graduation. I knew exactly what I was doing from day one, and I've never gotten off that track. So really, Heather, my undergrad's in finance. I worked when I was 22 years old. I was reporting to the global managing partner of financial services based in London for PricewaterhouseCoopers. I did that for years, a lot of international travel. Got to be too much, actually. And then I came domestic back to the U.S. and really worked at AT&T and IBM, the part of them that was basically merging. And then I went to law school. I went to University of Florida, go Gators. And then I went to New York University here in New York City for my advanced law degree in taxation. They have the best program in the country here. And so I came back here to New York to basically practice tax for a while, but it was really hard for me to practice just law when my whole background was finance. And so that's how I opened my own wealth advisory, combining tax law and finance together. Can't hear her for some reason. Heather, I lost you.
No worries, no worries. I'm here, right here. So
Okay.
that's pretty impressive. I thought I was an overachiever. You're officially the gauntlet of that. Officially been passed on. Wow, that's very impressive. No kidding.
Thank you. Thank you.
Really impressive. So why did you go back to law school? It sounds like you had a great career in finance or whatnot. What was the I wanted to go back to law?
I feel like education for me when I was young, I felt like that was going to be my ticket to financial stability and success. And I graduated at the top of my class, summa cum laude, in undergrad. And I felt like I would always get a postgraduate degree. So it was always either an MBA or something. In my international work, an MBA started to seem sort of irrelevant because Europe doesn't care if you have an MBA. Asia doesn't care if you have an MBA from the United States, as college. So law started to become more of an issue. Taxes specifically, when you're practicing finance at the level I was, tax strategy and tax planning starts to become what you really need to look at. And so for me, I wanted to know everything there was to know about taxes. And in order to do that, in a legal sense, you have to become a lawyer. So that's sort of how law came to be, is I really wanted to have the full picture of how to build wealth and how to make sure that someone can't take it away from you as you build it, legally, which of course is the government. So that's where tax law really came in.
That's awesome. That's pretty powerful. Okay. So here you are now, and we talked a little bit about in the green room what you're doing now, because I was, you corrected me, which is great. I was like, well, there's a ton of financial advisors. And you're like, well, there's a ton of women financial advisors. And then there's women who have their own firm. So let's kind of talk about what the difference is. So there's obviously many women financial advisors, but you're unique. And could you describe what that looks like in the financial world?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. So, females are underrepresented in financial advising in general. So for sure, to be a female in this world, it is a world that is male dominated, has been male dominated since forever. So we are making strides in financial advising as, female advisors. But what's even more male dominated is the actual advisory practices. It is very rare that you have a female owned advisory. And that's what my practice is. It's, I am the principal of Walser Wealth. And so that is really rare. I'll give you an example. I'm independent. And so when you're independent, you have sort of camaraderies, or you have associations that you join of other independent groups. And one of the groups I'm a part of is one of the largest groups in the entire country. And between all of the groups, they represent somewhere in the north of $6 billion of new money last year in the investment world, basically of, at management of assets of $6 billion. And of all of the groups that are associated with that, there's like less than 20 that are female owned. So it is very rare. And that's a little bit upsetting, but I think it's changing, I think men or a lot of people actually, there's a lot of sexist the perception still out there that men are just smarter in the area of finance, or men are, and actually, I don't mean to be sexist the other way, but actually we have found with studies that women have a natural intuition that leads them financially in the right direction more often than men. And I know that it's going to shock a lot of people, but there are studies that have been done that are sort of supporting this women's intuition in the financial arena. So it's not true that men are naturally better at it. I think it's just been the way we've come from, and we just have to keep working to get it more, equal.
No, I concur. I've actually read those studies as well. I think that the conversation around money and women is just that, with my father, he just didn't talk to me about money because I was a girl. You know what I mean? He didn't sit you down. Like there's a commercial out there. I can't remember which one. It's for some big firm or, whatever. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Price, whatever. And there's the whole commercial is the dad having his daughter talk to his financial advisor, and who happens to be a woman on the, in the commercial, and he wants to set her up. Like, I'm helping you get your, first whatever set up.
Right.
And in my head, I mean, of course it was a very great commercial, obviously, but in my head, I'm like, yeah, right. Give me a break. Right. But again, I know what they're doing. They're obviously trying to tap into the market and I get it from a marketing standpoint. But in my head, I'm like, that crap never happened in my world, much less any of, no one in my world had that.
Right.
So with a double woman in one man, I was like, no. no.
Yeah. No.
And
I can't
again,
do
I'm
that
not
either.
dissing, but at the same time, I feel like it's time to say it.
Yeah.
It's time to say, why is it, men,
Yeah.
you're not sitting your daughters down and saying, I want to do the first trade with you.
Yeah.
Let's do a trade on, let's put some money in and do some trading. I mean, why is it? I mean, I'm in conversation right now with people. I'm constantly pulling it towards me about different things. I'm actually in Bitcoin and having conversations about that. But I'm starting to pull it towards me because it's like a secret society that when a woman knocks, maybe the old days, like when you're maybe when you're a kid or at least on movies, you knock on the door and you're like, hey, I want to come in. They're like, this is a boys club. You're like, well, like, why? Because money affects me.
Right.
So I get that. And just to be straight and here, for me, I grew up in a very Southern home, and there's only 3 things my mom wanted for me, which was marry someone really wealthy, have lots of babies, and always look good. And 1 out of 3 ain't bad because I'm not married, I have no kids. So, boy, yeah, Mom, I got one. So,
hey, they say that what you push your kids to, they'll go the opposite direction. So she should have told you, look, be single, get fat, and have, no kids, and you would have gone the other way. So.
Right, exactly, right? So now it's like, make my own money. My kids are my dogs, and I always look good when I leave the house. Okay, all right.
There you go.
Let's go back to you. So your book came out. Let's talk about your book and why you wrote it.
Yeah. I have a really unique perspective because I did start and I did work in finance, pure finance for over a decade. And then I went to the law side. So there's very few, being a female advisory is rare, but it's also very rare, more rare to be an advisory that actually is also in tax law and has a tax specialty. And what I have discovered over the last 20 years of working is we have really severe wealth deficiencies in America. And this message is not getting out. In fact, I feel like every day I am battling the huge financial conglomerate of all of industry that still wants to tell people, maximize your 401k, which is beyond the match. We never want to advise anyone not to take free money. So the match is free money, but really beyond the employer match, 401k pre-tax wealth building in 2018 is a relic of advice, and it hurts my ears, and I really believe it's borderline malpractice. And the reason I say that with such passion, and I've been interviewed by the Journal of Accountancy, and I told them the same thing. The reason I say that is because we have the lowest tax rates right now that we've had almost in 30 years, 3 decades. And we are telling people to not use those tax rates and not leverage them and not pay taxes now, because some future date when they retire, they'll pay less because they're making less. And we're missing the boat. There will not be lower taxes in the future. In fact, our country is due for a tax reckoning, the size of which we have never seen. And pre-tax wealth is going to come back around and bite so many people in the money behind. And they're going to go back to their CPAs and say, how come you told me to do this? I could have paid tax at 12 or 17%. And now in retirement, because the government has no money and all these people are on Social Security and Medicare and we can't afford the benefits, I'm paying 30%. I'm paying more. How could you have told me not to do this? How come you didn't warn me? And we've got to stop the madness.
So are you saying, this is great, this is good stuff. So are you saying, suggesting or advising, whatever word you want to say, that your advice is to not do that and just to basically invest with tax dollars now?
The advice is take the free money. So maximize your contribution to get the free money. But beyond the free money, I would not advise anybody in any circumstance to put 1 penny of money into a pre-tax account, because a pre-tax account only works for anybody in any tax bracket if the tax rates they have in the future are less. That's it.
Okay. So you're saying, so let's break it down for the audience, right? So you make $1,000, right? That's taxable.
Mm-hmm.
Get taxed on the money.
Yep.
And then put it into whatever, let's say a mutual fund or stocks, whatever.
Or
right?
Roth, if you can qualify for Roth, never
Okay,
taxed
yeah. So
again.
for Roth, to put it
Yeah.
into the Roth because it's
Mhm.
taxed, and then
Yep.
put it into the Roth. And now that it's taxed, so explain that. So in the future, when
Yep,
you're going to be
absolutely.
higher, so tell people how that works.
So the Roth is a vehicle that allows money to never be taxed again, and that includes the growth. So there are some income limits. Like for example, if you make over 180,000 as a married couple, you are what we call income phased out of the Roth. You can't use the Roth unless it's offered through your employer, in which case the income limits don't apply. But if you do not have a Roth employer offered plan and you're just doing the Roth outside on your own, there are some income limits. But for those people that are under the income limits, instead of putting money into a traditional 401k or IRA, they can put money into a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA, which basically means they pay the tax up front, Heather. So they pay the tax on the $1,000 of earnings. Now the net number goes into the Roth, but now it can grow the rest of your life and you can access it the rest of your life. And even the growth will be tax-free for the rest of your life. So no matter how big that account grows to, there will never be tax again on all of that money. And so
Wow.
that versus building an account pre-tax and letting it grow and grow and grow, and then owing ordinary income tax, which is by the way, our highest income tax rate, or owing ordinary income tax on all of the growth, just is ludicrous in 2018 with the $21 trillion, total federal debt.
It's so. By the way, this makes total sense to me. I mean, it really, really does. It really makes sense to me. And just so you know, a lot of people don't know this. I started out as a financial advisor assistant when I was like 19.
Wow.
I didn't know what I was doing, but
there's a lot of it on Marco Island, right?
Right, on Marco Island, right? Exactly. But it was actually in Dallas, and I remember, he was a sales guy, so he was just sell.
Yeah.
I did the pre-interview, and then he would close them on whatever, and then he'd give me all the data of their data, and then I would put it in the computer, and I'd make the reports, and then he would never even look at the reports, right?
Wow.
Until he walked into the, Mr. and Mrs. Smith are here. Do you have Mr. and Mrs. Smith report? Marketing plan or whatever, business plan or financial plan. Yeah. And then he would read it as he was selling it. And I always thought, and it put a bad taste in my mouth, financial advising, because I was kind of on this trajectory of I really want to understand financial advising because of my background. And it put me this bad taste in my mouth because I'm like, well, he doesn't really care about them.
Yeah.
He just wants to sell them. And it was next. He had this little machine going on. He was one of the top ones in Dallas at the time with American Express Financial Advisors. I can say that now because they're no longer around. But at this point,
good.
And then I was 23. I just got my degree. And then AXA, are they still around? Anyway, AXA reached out to me and wanted me to be a financial advisor. And I remember I was actually interested, but I remember going to their offices a couple times for interviews and conversations and stuff like that. And I just have to share with you, I mean, I'm 23 and it just felt like, it's the old wood, and everyone's in blue tops or something. It's just had this
navy blue suits.
It was this staleness,
Yeah.
And I was like, do I visualize myself working here? And I was like, no, I just can't be around these guys much longer. They're driving me crazy,
Right, yeah.
But I probably should have done it. Who knows how my life would have turned out differently, but who knows. At the same time, that was my introduction to financial advising.
Yeah.
It's kind of this stoic, boring conversations. And I remember sitting in what I call the bullpen, talking about the bullpen, and I'm the only female other than the assistants and the person answering the phone. Of course. And so I thought, God, do I really want to go up this battle? And I decided, no, I didn't. So I ended up going in telecommunications, which of course was all men too. So whatever, just ended up going, every industry I've been in has been all men. So anyway, back to your book. The book itself, by the way, I love the advice. The book itself is for who? And do you really talk to women in the book at all?
I do have a little bit, specifically for a women's message. The message is really for Americans. So I wrote the book because I can have an impact in my financial practice, and we are doing everything we can to get our message out as much as we possibly can, However, as you know, Heather, it's so hard when you have such a big message to reach as many people as you possibly could with other mediums. Like you've written several books as yourself. So, the book was a way to be able to get the message disseminated to as many many Americans as possible, because someone's going to watch your podcast and hear the book mentioned and mention to a friend who's going to mention to a friend, and it's going to be 6 degrees of separation hopefully, and the book is just going to get out there, and it's doing well so far. But the book is really a message to explain the lunacy of the traditional financial advice that we're getting, and why have nothing about our life is the same. I mean, I remember when I was in, I think, high school, that the DOS printers had just come out, and you would do it was word perfect, and you'd have to hit Control P to print. And I still use Control P to this day, and you have to rip the paper off the side. So, I mean, nothing is the same on our life. We've got, phones that are more powerful than that printer back, or, that computer back from high school. Nothing's the same. And yet we still have the same advice financially as from the 80s. It's crazy. And so we have to get this message out, and the book is the one way to do that. There are some specific things for women that affect women more, differently than men with financial planning and financial advice. And for those things, we do tangentially touch on that in the book. The book is more of an overall message, but maybe the second book, more towards women. Women definitely have some more specific planning needs than men have. We live longer, but we live more sickly. So we do have more planning needs around long-term care, healthcare planning needs that we have to take into consideration. We also have to take into consideration that we're usually some kind of healthcare provider, or we're the caretaker either of a parent or some kind of child potentially, and those interrupt our earning years. And so our natural total wealth building creation ability over our lifetime, just because of where we still are in America, is less than a male, just naturally still, unfortunately. And so we have to account for that. Where are we going to be, because we have these maybe potential interruptions. If someone's parent is, passing away, and we need to take 3 months off to see that process through, those kinds of things are usually falling to women. So we have to just be prepared and plan for these things.
Which people don't, and women aren't inside of those conversations. But first of all, I want to go back to what you first said.
Sure.
Everything's changed.
Yeah.
Right? I remember when the phone was like, you do the
of course, the rotary dial. Yeah.
We're not that old, but
those phones are actually cool now, though. They're retro. They sell them again, but they're cool now.
Right. 1,
yep,
2. Wait. Okay.
Yep.
So same generation. Everything has changed. Communications changed. I mean, you're in New York. I'm in Austin. I could see you. I could hear you. I mean, this is just crazy if you think about it in the 80s, right? Or the 90s. So this is all changed, but you're right. I was just listening to, I think every city nowadays has a financial advising radio show, and I had the opportunity to work with a financial advising company that in Florida, and I'm having to be careful, but when I worked with them, I found out, because they have a radio show, I found out through them that they're part of a marketing company, and that all the radio shows, all the the little ones across the country, all have scripts. There's scripts. So he just shows up and has a script. So all of them are scripted with the same advice, right? So it's not his advice, not really him. It's the organization, and they all put them on the radio, and they all, they're all promoting their own show of their own financial advising, obviously, and in that area, obviously, right? But and and I'm just sharing this with you because I was brought in to consult on marketing and sales, and they said that their numbers were down to bring people into the seminar, like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And I said, well, let me see your copy. Let me see what you're presenting, and I think you'd find this funny. I did.
Yeah.
So now we're in Southwest Florida. So, the average age is 60, 70 at this point.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And they sent me all their stuff. And I said, this is what you're selling. And they go, yeah. And it's this direct mail piece with a huge steak on it, Yeah. And I'm like, are you selling steak? No, we're selling them to come to the seminar to have a steak. And then we sell them into financial advising. I'm like, how's that working? Well, no one's coming. I'm like, it's because you're trying to sell a steak. Right? I'm don't sell a steak. What are you doing? Anyway.
Yeah.
Not that funny. But again, they go, well, our marketing company, whatever this conglomerate was, told us that works. I'm like, okay, well, is it working? And they're like, no. But my point is, like you said, it's one of those things where it's worked for so long, or it's just the advice that's been there for so long, right?
Yeah.
And they don't realize that people alter, people's desires, needs, wants are altering, and things are changing, and they're not keeping up with it.
That's right. Yeah. You're right, Heather. And it's irritating to me, I got to tell you, because I'm someone who has a radio show that's on iHeartRadio, that's national, and I do that show every week with my own content. So to hear that people are just given a script and they can just show up and they don't know what they're talking about, that is quite upsetting. But I got to tell you, sometimes I'm like, well, what am I going to talk about today? I don't know. And I've got to go and do the research and figure it out and make the show worthwhile. So, people though can see through that too, right, Heather? I mean, it's like, the steak is the problem with the leading with the steak, obviously, but also the radio content. If they're hearing this sort of, you're just reading it out as you go. That's not going to work either. From a market. Well,
and just this past Sunday, I went to the station because I was driving. I knew it was on, and they were saying exactly what you're saying, opposite of, right? Max out your 401k. Everything that right. It was like this whole conference for like 20 minutes, right? And why, and the taxes and everything that you was like the opposite. So I'm like, oh my God.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. It's so rare. I mean, the financial services industry has got the same message over and over, and nobody is talking about the tax impact. It's not about how much you build if you build it in the wrong bucket. If you build it in the bucket where the government can just take a big chunk out of it and siphon off of it and bleed you dry for the rest of your life, what good does it do us to build wealth in that bucket? And these advisors are not telling their clients this. It's terrible. And we've got to fix it. And this is one of my ways to combat it, is writing this book, so that if there's somebody that I can't personally reach to, whatever mediums I'm on, they hear from somebody else who gets in this book, and they get in their hands and they say, oh my gosh, no one's ever told me this before. Do you know, I hear that like 100 times a week. No one's ever told me this before, because they're hearing the mainstream message from everywhere else. Right. And it's the same blah, blah, blah. They tune it out because they've heard it so much.
Right. It's like the same conversation over and over again.
Exactly.
So where can people find the book, and where people find the iHeartRadio? What's the name of your show?
Yeah, it's called Wealth Strategies. It's on iHeartRadio WWMI on Saturdays and Sundays. And the book is, of course, on Amazon. And so you just go to Amazon and type in my name, or you can type in Wealth Unbroken, and it'll pop right up.
So if people want to listen to your show, but time shifted like a podcast, are you on?
Okay. It is on our website, which is Walser Wealth, Walser, WALS as in Sam, ER, walserwealth.com. And there is in the media tab. And in the media tab takes us to Omni, where all of our actual past shows can be downloaded as a podcast. Yep.
Oh, nice. Okay, great. Yeah. Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, this has been really helpful. I mean, I highly suggest I'm going to go get your book.
Thanks, Heather.
Yeah, no.
Get your book.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a sexy boss. I'm going to definitely give you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Of course. One sexy boss to another, right?
Yes, absolutely. I loved your handle. I was like, that's so cool that you had the audacity to be brave. I love that about you, because it's like, you can just be another one in the wind, and you have to have that audacity, and that's going to take you very far. So good for you.
Thank you. I got a lot of hell from a lot of women.
Really?
I did. Yeah. Especially after the Me Too movement. It was, they got a lot of that. Yeah. So,
well, it's got to be backed up by substance, and that's where you come in. It's not just not backed up with substance. You got the brains to back it up. So
yeah, I mean, Sexy Boss is who you are. Sexy Boss it is about owning who you are in all areas of your life. Right?
Yeah,
and
why not? Yeah, you should call it what it is. Now we can't be pretty and smart. I mean, come on. Actually, Heather, I have had that experience as well. Like some of the stuff on Instagram or some of our social media that we post, and it's not. I mean, believe me, I'm a financial professional, so I'm not posting any kind of inappropriate picture in any sense of the word. I'm wearing dresses, and yet I still get women saying, "Oh, you're trying to get things being pretty," and I'm thinking to myself, "I'm a tax attorney and a certified financial planner, and if I am pretty, am I supposed to wear my hair? Am I supposed to what do you want me to
put a bun?" Right.
This is who I am. I'm sorry if you are upset that I have, you could consider me pretty. I'm still smart, and that's what I'm trying to be about, is being about the message. I'm not trying to go out there and, I'm not in a bikini on my Instagram. Come on.
Right. No, I totally get it. I've gotten the same thing. And I think that's why you're a badass, you're a sexy boss. And I bet you when you walk into your room, there's just conversations that happen. So, and it's just part of it. It's just part of the deal. And it's a constant conversation, and we're moving through it. And I think the more women out there like yourself that are saying, hey, I am smart and I have the credentials and I got great advice. And not only that, you're bucking the system, which is what I love about you. Like, you're like, no, that whole advice thing for 20 years. No, it's not it. And exactly. I mean, honestly, I've had other financial people on here and they've had the same message. Not as you, as
I know, I got you. I knew it wasn't the same as me. It's very rare. I mean, it's just, there's just not a lot of people that, and unfortunately, Heather, it's going to hit America in the face, and they're going to be so mad. They're going to be like, oh, what? I did this wrong, and I got all this advice from all these major advisory firms telling me this is what I should have been doing. I mean, I have clients come to me every day, millions of dollars in IRAs. And until they heard my message, they were planning to just go through retirement with it all in that bucket. Good luck to them. So it can't happen. You've got to make a choice. One financial tip that I'll leave everybody with, because this is very important. People think if they make too much money, they cannot leverage the Roth. It's not true. Right now, and it's going to go away because they already proposed to do away with it in the last tax code change. But right now, people that have already built wealth in either the 401k or the IRA, doesn't matter how much you make. You could be Jeff Bezos, okay? And if he has an IRA, he can convert that to a Roth, because the conversion, which is called a backdoor Roth conversion, is not income determinative. It's not, there's not an income test on it. So if you've already built wealth in an IRA or a 401k, and you are hearing my message and saying, I do not want to go down this road, you can convert it to a Roth no matter how much you make, even if you stopped working. So if you're retired, you have money in IRA traditional, and you say, I want to move to a Roth, Rebecca, you can do that. Doesn't matter. So right now we still have that opportunity. And so people think that they can't because they're already retired or they make too much money and they discount it. And that is not, you can do it. So that's a message to get out there. You absolutely can do it, and you should do it as fast as possible.
Well, I have an IRA, so I'm already like, okay, I'm going to call them and convert it.
Yeah.
It's not that much at this point. You know what I mean? So it's like, why not?
Convert it, because pay the tax while the taxes are low. Pay the taxes while taxes are low. Yeah.
Right. That's smart. Okay. Well, you heard it here first, y'all. So it's like Sexy Boss times 2 right here. That's what that is.
That's right.
I'm officially giving you that title. You can
Thank you so much. I'll take it with a badge of honor. Thank you.
Well, yeah. You can walk into the New York Stock Exchange, you're like, Sexy Boss. Just want to let y'all know I'm here, everyone. Yep. They'd be like, awesome. What?
Oh, believe me, I got some looks today.
Right. Oh, I'm sure you did. Wow. Okay, great, everyone. This is Heather Havenwood. Please go check out Rebecca. Go get her book right away. It's Rebecca Walser. That's WALSER. Go get her book on Amazon. Go listen to her show. And her name of her website, again, is walserwealth.com. I'll spell it WALSER wealth.com. Thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate you very, very much. And, you truly are a sexy boss. And thank you for your message that you're helping not only women, but anyone out there who really wants to create wealth today. So
thank you so much for having me. We really had a great time. Thanks, Heather.
You're welcome. Everyone, this is Heather Havenwood with heatherhavenwood.com.